Salutations everybody! Dreamforge back with another video for Battle Brothers. Today I want to talk about the Brood. I want to introduce this build. Lately I'm actually experimenting a lot with certain builds that work very well early on, even if you fight pretty bad odds. I just realized that a lot of builds I have, they don't really fit that criteria because you need something that works basically from day one. The reason for that is you want to have some sort of like tempo. There's like a certain mechanic that works in this game. Like the more days you play, the more enemies you have, or the more fierce they become. And you see this at some point, you never see thugs again because at like a day where this is not like the case anymore. And tempo play means that you find ways to get ahead of this scaling curve. Let's call it like that. And a lot of my builds that I have, they don't really fit that. I mean, they work absolutely fine. I mean, I use them myself. But if you want to have something that is really fast, that keeps you going basically at day 1, that you can bust camps maybe even at day 10 or something, which I did in my last run, you need something different. Tempo play means everything you find has to work in some sense. You can take any brother. Every brother that you don't have like a different task for, let's say maybe bannerman or thrower or tank, can become a Brood. A Brood is basically a brother that will get into the action. It's a frontliner with a shield and a mace, and his job is to stun enemies, especially dangerous enemies. Those guys will make it possible that you can take fights sometimes even with like 2 or more enemies more than you actually have people, and they can even stun lock certain enemies that are very dangerous or that you want to dagger down. This helps tremendously in the early stages. The idea is having somebody who is expendable. This is your 45 melee attack peddler. This is your miller that rolls really badly. It doesn't really matter. They will hit at some point. And to make this sure, I will go now over like the perk section. What to use them and in which order. The order is actually very important because again, it is a tempo build. One level makes a big difference here. Like every perk, everything counts in the beginning here. You want to make sure that you're busting camps at day 10. That you can clear the south at day 20 or something if you want that, and those guys will help with that a lot. The first pick you take is fast adaptation. You have to hit, obviously, right? Those mace swings, they have to hit. There's obviously a downside to them. I just show this here. So you take everything that has basically knockout. You rarely take bash. I mean, you can if your target is already stunned. You can obviously swing if you want, but this is very fatigue intensive, so knockout is the thing you really want to take. The problem is if it's not scaled, and we take obviously Mace Mastery, spoiler, it's not going to always stun. It's 75% it says, but it feels more like 50%. There's some better brother math behind that, I guess. The next perk you take is they have to survive. They probably have bad stats, probably bad HP and stuff. This, then I take actually Backstabber. Yeah, just any hit you can get your hands on. Backstabber means I don't take this very often. It's just if you have adjacent a brother to your enemies, then you get normally plus 5% hit, but with Backstabber it's plus 10%. If there are like 2 bros, for example, you get plus 20% chance to hit. And let's say you missed one time before, that's like plus 30% chance to hit. Even a dude that only has like 50 melee attack then has 80. So you see how crazy this scales, and you really want that. And then you take Mace Mastery, basically rush that. All the rest is basically icing on the cake and makes this build obviously stronger. I don't plan those bros having to stay around for like day 150 or something. At that point, if you play like that, you probably beat the game already. So yeah, but the rest is just very nice to have. I mean, those bros are basically your tactical guys. You stun enemies, you do something like, you kick enemies back, you postpone those enemies. Sometimes if you have an enemy, picking the enemy back and then the enemy only gets one swing next round could be very helpful. So you want to take Shield Expert, At some point, of course, we take gifted, and boosting up stats is always a great thing to do, right? What I really want to have on them is that, because you really want to get into those situations where you help out, and then sometimes if you can't move one tile because, of Pathfinder, because you fight in the forest or something, this obviously sucks. We want to prevent that. And at this point, yeah, this is of course a nimble bro. We want to make this as cheap as possible. Then you can maybe even take this, and then the last perk, it doesn't matter. Maybe even that. So delving the bro. So this is kind of like a soldier, like from the idea, but this is more tempo focused. And again, backstabber, fast adaptation, and mace mastery, obviously like the most important things. So again, you go in and you stun dangerous enemies. You try to wait for adjacent bonus with backstabber. Again, even the most plebeiest of your bros, he will hit. Gear section or gear wise, this is something I just put together. You can actually take those guys. This is a day one equipment. This could be a cultist. You just got like a buckler from, I don't know, you bought this thing for like a couple of crowns. You bought this for a couple of crowns, or you maybe even have this weapon. You can start as early as that, right? Normally I don't really pay much attention to day 1 or to 2, but because it's a tempo build, you kind of have to know what you do at day 1 with them, because at day 1 they fulfill their purpose. This is maybe like, a couple days later, you got a little bit of gear, maybe even got this as like a small upgrade. Those things you never use. Any, like, even, I think it's like a claw? Yeah, claw. Even those from like thralls you can use. Doesn't matter. As long as it is possible to knock out, this thing is perfect. Yeah, and this is now maybe, he survived very long, basically. It's one of the few that actually made it to like day, I don't know, 50 or something. You can give him obviously better stuff, right? That's like... like, it's very crazy that if you use that, they stay around longer than you might think. Because of this stunning, this build is kinda safe. It's not like the most crazy thing in the world. You will lose those bros, they're there for that basically. But a couple of them will actually survive into the later stages. And I just put this together if you have the gear. This is obviously a very good mace, and you could maybe build him like. Attributes. I don't think there's a lot of big surprises. I mean, we take so much fast adaptation and stuff. Of course we want to hit, but because of those perks we take here, like melee attack is not like the most important thing in the world. You will hit with them, I'm pretty sure. This is not like the worst thing in the world, right? But of course you want to take melee attack if you have a good roll, maybe like a 2 or something. They rarely have stars in melee attack. I mean, those basically your worst bros. You always take melee defense, obviously, but this is not that important. Important is fatigue, and important is health. And obviously, you always want to take some sort of like resolve. I say this all the time. Try to get to 40, even 45, 50 resolve if you can. I mean, you can even, like, let's build it again. Bing, ding, ding, ding. That's the most thing. Maybe now you have a dude that has like, I don't know, it's a deserter or something. I don't know why you would pick that as a thing. He has like 25 resolve. You can actually take that to fix that. It's not like the biggest deal in the world. At this point, it doesn't matter. But you can take a patch up perk after you hit those, right? I mean, if he's really, really bad, he has like 40 HP, you can, instead of this, take that too. You can even take both if you want. It doesn't really matter, right? The build works with that. And I'm not kidding you. You can actually see this in my playthrough, like the 100 challenge. I take on pretty crazy fights, and this is only possible with those guys. So, but yeah, again, melee attack, melee defense, it's like you take them if you get good rolls, right? But fatigue is kind of important because you do this a lot. It's pretty fatigue intensive, right? Especially if you swing like 2 times every round, right? And then of course HP and some resolve. Yeah, I think you will have a lot of fun with this if you use that bro to like the way you should be using him. You can make very cool plays, and I even got like a famed nimble helmet at like, was it like day 17 or something, from like a pretty crazy camp. You can get crazy gear, and then if you at some point at this gear you like in complete radar gear at like, let's say day 20 or something, you will completely destroy the map. And then you get a lot of gold. You can take basically every fight, every 3 gold contract, if you actually do contracts at this point. So this is like a very fun, very dominating way of playing Battle Brothers. And a lot of streamers who are really good, who basically can thrive in any environment, they go for a lot of those tempo plays, and they value this over a lot of other things. This is not a bro, again, you keep around for like day 200 or something. At some point you don't need them anymore. But in the beginning, this is the build or the bro that will basically carry you. Make those hard fights in the beginning possible. Anyways, I'm ranting way too much about this. I really like this build. I think this is absolute brilliant, how you can use it and how strong this actually is in the beginning. I hope you have fun with that, and I wish you a lot of luck with your tempo plays and getting very cool fame stuff very early on, and I see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.